Oscar Bevis, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Valas here in San Diego, Team Benavides Camp House. I'm joined by Jose Valenzuela. How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Very well, even better for the settings that we're in. I might do a little tour later just to show some of the viewers, but yeah, I can see why this would make you work hard, because you work hard and then I suppose, I say you play hard, you rest well. This is genuinely perfect, isn't it?
Definitely, man. You rest well, you're isolated, and also you're motivated. This is a beautiful home. It's what you dream of. So I hope to have a house like this one day, and that's why we're out here working hard.
I said to you, this is just sort of a little get-to-know interview for the UK fans who aren't too aware of you. 11-0, 7 knockouts. But I want to take it right back to the start and just sort of your journey into boxing. So growing up, was boxing sort of a family thing for you, or was it something that you pursued sort of on your own?
No, I mean, I was just kind of, a regular kid, growing up struggling. Outside, maybe playing a lot too much, and then, just getting in fights every day outside and in school, and just always had a lot of energy. My dad finally took me to the gym one day, and he told me I could make a lot of money and help my mom pay her bills one day, and I never looked back, and I fell in love with it.
What was it about walking into the gym that sort of hooked you? Because most boxers I speak to, they say there's sort of one specific thing that just grabs them when they go into the gym. Was it like that for you?
I think so, but for me it was the competitiveness. I'm very competitive. I want to be the best at it, and it's a one-on-one sport, so it was just me versus the guy across the ring, and I wanted to be the best, and I was very hungry to prove that.
Was there like a moment where it clicked in your head and you went, actually, look, I'm quite good at this. I know I'm quite good. I could potentially make a career out of it. Obviously, I know you went in with good intentions, but was there sort of a moment where it all clicked and you went, if I take this seriously, there is a real future in this for me?
Well, just growing up, I wasn't really good at much. I wasn't good at school, soccer, basketball. Wasn't really good at much. But
what was the sport? Sorry, just quickly, what was the sport from where you came from that most people played?
Basketball, football, soccer, all stuff like that. And but fighting was the only thing I was good at, and I was really good at it. So there was just no questions asked. I'm like, this is what I was born to do.
And then I suppose you moved into sort of the amateur scene in the US. What's it like in the US? Because I know in the UK it's quite structured, obviously a lot smaller in the UK. What's sort of the amateur scene like in the US when you entered?
Well, I grew up in the Seattle area, so it's maybe not as crazy as in California and Vegas. My parents didn't really have too much money or funds to take me out to tournaments, so I had to kind of just stay locally. I wasn't big on the amateurs for that exact reason. But then when I turned pro, senior took me in, Mr. Benavides, and from there we never looked back.
How did you come around to meet Benavides Senior?
It's a crazy long story, but long story short, we had a mutual friend in common. I was like 17. He was like he used to train with Benavides like 10 years ago, maybe. Still had his number, and kept calling him and bugging him because they had moved 3 hours away from where we were. So he just kept bugging him about me. Senior finally said, bring him through, like, let me see what he has. And I ended up staying at a hotel across the street from them. And for a week, basically, it was like a week trial. He put me through some of the hardest work, a lot of pain, but I was real motivated and hungry, and I was, there pouring my heart and soul into every workout. And, finally he said, you're good, I like you, you're raw, but the problem now is, where was I going to live? Of course, my parents didn't have the funds to keep me living in a hotel, but my mom, she's a Mexican lady, very, very driven, very, she's a hustler, and we walked into a grocery store around the area, and she got into a conversation with some lady, and she was like, hey, by any chance, do you know somebody who's renting a room? And, sure enough, she was like, yeah, and next thing you know, I find myself, like, sleeping on an air mattress in some random lady's house. 17, I'm driving back and forth through my workouts, and, thank God, me and David and his brother and his senior, of course, we all clicked. They saw that I was hungry and I was driven, and, they took me in as a little brother. They basically adopted me, moved me in with them, and ever since then, the rest was history, and now I'm here.
I mean, I said about the camp house and looking at it, obviously it's lush and you're living sort of the life that like people would dream about as athletes. But you talk about that hardship and sleeping on an air mattress and doing these hard sessions when you're a kid, your family didn't have the funds. Is it that hardship, you think, that shapes you more than anything else into the fighter you are today? Doing them times where you never know if you're going to be successful, you never know if you're going to be on these big shows around these big stars. Is it them sort of hard times that shape a fighter?
Of course, man. Of course. You know, I used to come home from school. You know, the lights would be off. You know, they couldn't pay the lights. You know, there would be eviction letters, and you know, just see my parents struggle, and just wanted to give back to them. And this is what I do it for. You know, my family, because basically, you know, the hope, you know, of the family, and so that's why I'm out here working hard.
And then you make your professional debut and you move into the pros. Was you? I suppose the transition is what I want to talk about. So, like you said, you didn't have the most extensive amateur career, but as soon as you moved into the pros, was you kind of shocked at how the pro game worked, or when you stepped in the pro ring, did it just feel like it was comfortable and you were made for it?
Yeah, well, I'm real good at adapting. I'm a student of the game, so even though I didn't have the amateur experience, I was watching on my computer. I was watching the top amateurs. I was always there, even though I wasn't there. You know what I mean? So just learning, and then when I got in with David, he basically sat me next to him and just started, you know, like giving me lessons as well as his dad, and I just started taking it all in, you know, and adapting and progressing.
And then I suppose skip a little bit of time, but you're here now. 11-0, 7 knockouts. Sort of, if you can, explain to the UK fans what they would see when you step in the ring. Like I said, there will be some who aren't familiar with you, your fighting style. When Jose Valenzuela steps in the ring, what do the fans expect to see?
You see an explosive fighter. I'm a lefty. I come forward, you know, I look for the knockout, but I love to punch the body. You know, I use my jab. You know, I can box as well, but I choose to come forward, you know, just an action-packed fighter, you know. You're looking for that, come watch me.
And do you sort of base your style or your skill set off anyone you watched when you was younger? Any things you used to take from certain fighters that you admired?
Yeah, you know, I take a lot from a lot of fighters. I used to, being a lefty, when I was little, I used to watch Pernell Whitaker, you know, Julio Cesar Chavez, Manny Pacquiao, just all these great fighters, and I take a little bit of everybody, and you know, I try to squeeze it into my style.
All right, and yeah, I said we're here and now. Obviously, you'll be looking to kickstart the year with a win, and you fight on
April 16th.
April 16th. You fight on April 16th, looking to kickstart the year with a win. And yeah, what sort of your 2022 plans? Let's say we were sitting here January 2023. What would you want to have achieved in the space of this 12 months?
I think a world title.
Yeah.
In a year, I think I'll be fighting for the WBC Continental for this fight, so it should be ranking me for the WBC, and then I think a year from now I'll be ready.
No messing about. I was expecting you to say pick up some wins, but you're straight in. You want to get ranked, and you want these big fights. No messing about.
Yeah, I want to get the hard fights. I want my respect. I don't want to be one of those fighters who just takes, you know, the guys you're supposed to be, and you know, that are washed out. You know, I want to earn it the hard way. I want to wake up in the morning and have no doubt in my mind that I'm the best.
And the scene at the moment, what do you make of the world scene at lightweight? Obviously, you've got Gervonta and Rolly going to run it back, run it as they should have. George Kambosos has got some of the belts, and we're looking to see if he can fight Devin or Vasily Lomachenko. It's a really hot scene, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of great fights in the division. I think the only problem is that, you know, they're not making them happen. Everybody's pointing at each other, hiding behind each other on Twitter and all this nonsense, but hopefully they can start making these fights. You know, I know for sure that when I'm a champion, I'm make all these great fights happen. You know, if I can, you know. So yeah, they just gotta be done.
Obviously, we know how boxing works in the modern world. Sometimes you do have to be vocal. Do you think it might get to the point where, or have you thought about getting to the point where you might have to take to online and just be like, yo, I want to fight you. Fuck you. You might have to do all this sort of stuff. Has that crossed your mind that you might just have to get on there and to earn these fights, you might have to run your mouth a little bit?
Not run your mouth, but win and start knocking these guys out. Then people are gonna demand the fights. That's all you gotta do. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some trash talking, but I think a lot of these fighters now, they're pricing themselves out. They're, you know, just a lot of little reasons to not make these great fights happen. And if one day I'm a champion and this other guy is a champion, and if I have to take a pay cut, I'll take a pay cut to make the fight happen and take his belt.
All right, just finally, where does the career end? Obviously, you're only just starting out, but is there anything that you want to have achieved by the time you hang the gloves up? You want to hang them up and say, look, this is what I wanted to achieve, this is what I did achieve? Anything in the back of your mind that the burning desires?
Well, I think I'm a pretty tall 135 pounder. I think I can go up to 40, 47, maybe later in my career. So a multiple division world champion.
Brilliant, Jose, absolute pleasure. Going to do some training now and hopefully take some videos and see some clips. And yeah, Yeah, thank you very much, man.
Yeah, I'll be spawning. You can come and check me out, take a little videos, and send it to your UK friends.
Welcome, Team Everlast, to the Team Everlast Fitness app. Download the Everlast Fitness app and find your greatness within.